Hey guys, the other day I made a video all about the funny things people call violin parts. There's a little stick rattling around inside my violin and a little dowel in my violin. And I didn't think that it's really fair to kind of leave you hanging and not actually tell you the proper names for all the violin parts. So I'm going to go through an instrument and tell you every single little part on the instrument so that you know all your part names, and next time you come to your violin maker you can totally impress them and give them all the technical terms for things and they'll be blown away. But also I think it's actually good to know. So let's have a look. I'm going to take a violin without strings, first of all. That way we'll be less distracted. So I'm going to break this up into 4 parts. So the first thing will be the body. The second thing will be everything that's attached to the body that you might need work on and things like that. The third thing will be the inside of the instrument. And the fourth thing will be the bow. Let's get started. So we're going to start from the top of the instrument. And this is the scroll. This part here is the peg pogs. These are the peg holes. Then you have the neck, you have the heel of the neck, you have the back of the instrument or the back plate, you have the top plate, that's what I call it, but there are lots of other names and some are quite funny. People also call it the belly, they call it the front, and they call it the table. Yes, they call it the table. And then there's these things here, they're called the ribs or the sides of the instrument. On the top plate and back itself, there is the arching. So that is the kind of arch this way and that way that you can see. That's called the arching. You have the purfling, which is a little 3-strip inlay on the instrument. You have the edge, like the edges, and then you have the corners. On the top plate, you also have the F-hole, and we call these the nicks, the little nicks in the F-hole. I can't think of any other names. And the center nicks actually mark the line that the bridge should be sitting on if it's done correctly, but not all violin makers did do that correctly. So the little hollow in here is actually called the scoop. This is called the button. This is a button crown. Now there's this sort of areas to describe. These are the bouts. So there are 3 bouts to the instrument. This is called the C bout, the upper bout, and the lower bout. So if you want to describe something to the violin maker, for example, and there's a problem just here on the hand patch, you would say it's on the ribs on the upper right bout, and then the violin maker would know that it's this area here. Or if there's a crack, you could say it's an F-hole crack on the lower bout, going down the lower bout, an F-hole crack in the middle near the bridge, or an F-hole crack leading up to the upper bout. So that just helps you really describe things for the instrument. So that's the actual outside body of the instrument. All right, let's keep going to the actual parts of the instrument. This time I'm going to take an old French, beautiful French Calong Maison violin to keep describing the parts. So these are the pegs. This here that the strings run over is the nut. The black thing is the fingerboard. This here is the curvature of the fingerboard. This is the bridge. This is the tailpiece. This is the fine tuner. This little string holding the tailpiece is called the tail gut. And the reason is it used to be made of gut. This is the end pin. This down here is called the saddle. And then inside the instrument, you can see a little thing here. It's called the sound post. You've also got the chin rest that's attached to it, and then you also put on the shoulder rest, which sits underneath. And then of course these are the strings and the pegs also have little holes for strings. So you got the peg holes in the scroll, or the string hole for the strings. On the bridge, the middle part is called the heart, and this side here, this part is called the kidneys, and then you have the foot of the bridge. And then there is the inside of the instrument. And now this one's had a lot of repairs, so they don't normally look like that. This is a 200-year-old German violin I'm restoring. It'll actually be for sale in my shop soon. I think it was made in Nuremberg. Absolutely beautiful. So inside the instrument you have the bass bar. The bass bar sits underneath the bridge on the bass side. On the inside here, this is called the top block. These are called the corner blocks. So they're just little bits of timber here. And this is called the bottom block. This one is one I'm currently making, so it's not quite finished. It's going to get a nice round shape. Then also there's something called the lining. And so the lining sits on the ribs on the inside, and it just gives a little bit more gluing surface for the top plate and the back. And on older instruments, quite often you'll have little cleats or patches inside the instrument to reinforce areas that have been broken. Here you can see a whole lot of cleats inside this instrument to repair this area. Also, the edges have been doubled in a couple of places. All right, let's talk about the bow. So this is the tip. This is the bow face, this little area on the top. It's often made of bone. It used to be made with ivory, but obviously that's not very cool. This is the stick. This is the winding. This is the bow leather. This is the frog. This is the ring. This is the slide. And this is the bow screw. This is the eye. And of course this is the hair, and it's often horse hair. All right, let's get into a bit more detail. There are wedges in the bow. So there's a wedge up the top here, and then there's a wedge inside the frog. And then this is called the spreader wedge. So there's just a tiny wedge here, and it spreads the hair all the way across the bow. If that wasn't there, the hair would be very narrow in the middle of the bow here. And so those are all the parts of the bow. So now when you talk about your violin, you'll really know the name of every single part of the instrument, which is really exciting. Hey, how you going? What would you like done on your violin today? My violin's got a couple of open joints on the top plate. There's one on the lower right bout and the upper right bout. Also, my bridge needs a bit of an adjustment. I don't think the feet are fitting all that well, hey. Also, the sound post needs a little bit of a tap, yeah. Then I think the ebony crown on my button's a little bit loose. I will also be putting together a little PDF to print out. I'm going to put the link down below so you can download it. From now on, when you go and talk to your Violinmaker, you'll know exactly what to call everything, and you don't have to make a fool of yourself. Even though for me, it's actually, I don't think people are making, everyone's always doing their best and describing things how best they can. Anyway, keep making beautiful music, play the music you love, like and subscribe and hit the little bell, and actually do that, because that way you find out when I post my next video. It's so nice to have you guys watching. I always really appreciate you as an audience. My goal is to really help string players really know their instrument, know everything, how it works, give you guys a little bit of a window into my life and what I do. So I hope I help with that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Keep making beautiful music. Bye.